Hi, I'm Darlene Carman.
And I'm Doug Carman.
And welcome to the show. Terry Geyer has worked over 20 years as a commercial artist and designer for Fortune 500 companies. He was commissioned to create a 7-foot bronze statue to honor Nikola Tesla, whose inventions of the late 1800s helped move wireless electricity forward. The fact that Terry had never done a sculpture didn't put a crimp in the project. Let's see how he did it. Hey, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Darlene.
Welcome, Terry.
Thanks, Doug.
Yeah.
Now, for people watching the show that may not know, can you give us a description of Nikola Tesla and his work?
Okay. Nikola Tesla was a very brilliant man who could see electrons in his head, pretty much. He, at the time in the late 1800s, electricity was generated primarily from DC, direct current, which means that electricity is naturally is alternating current, which means it flows two different directions. And no one was able to harness the two different directions of the flow. So what they would do is they'd let one direction, they had a mechanism which allowed one direction to kind of spark off, and then they'd only collect the power going the other direction. Nikola Tesla came up with an idea of how to harness alternating current, both directions. And it was much more powerful, it preserved all that energy. And it could be sent over great distances where direct current could go maybe 3 miles at most. He came up with a motor and a generator that made use of alternating current. And when he first mentioned it to his professors, they said, "You're crazy. It's a perpetual motion machine. It's impossible. Can't be done." And he said, yes. So he hadn't figured it out yet at that time, but he worked on it, and he did come up with it, with an idea. And that's where our AC motors come from. At the time, Edison was the developer of direct current, and he was sponsored by Morgan, and he had heard of Nikola Tesla because Tesla had worked in the Edison factory in Paris.
Yeah.
And the head of the Paris had told Edison, this man is brilliant, you need to bring him over. He did bring Tesla over to work with him. Tesla tried to sell him on the idea of AC electricity. He said, no, it won't work. We've developed DC and we know what we're doing. And he was having trouble with some of his DC installations, and he asked Tesla to fix them. Tesla knew how to fix them, and he was going to give them a bonus if he fixed them, and Tesla did go to work on it and fixed all these DC installations. And when he asked for his bonus, Edison said, well, I guess you don't understand American humor. So, being a very serious European, Mr. Tesla quit and went and dug ditches for a while until he could develop his ideas. Well, eventually he did develop his ideas. It got Westinghouse sponsored him to work out his AC system, and they used it. There was the Chicago World's Fair wanted to electrify the fair, put light bulbs all over the place and throw up the lights when the fair opened.
Yeah. And
so there was a competition for generating the electricity for the fair, and it was Westinghouse against Edison Electric. And Westinghouse bid it so that he'd actually lose money in order to to win the bid, and he did win the bid. And that was they set up electric generators at Niagara Falls, actually they set them up at the fair. Edison wouldn't sell them light bulbs, so they had to work some other way to get light bulbs for it. But it was a tremendous success, and because of the success, they asked Westinghouse to create generators at Niagara Falls using Niagara Falls energy, and because he said that we can light Buffalo, we can move lines all the way to New York City, and light New York City, and that's what they did, and that was pretty much the end of DC as being the.
And that was all possible with alternating current, which
Yes.
couldn't be done with the direct current. You needed stations along the way to keep reboosting it.
Yes, Edison Electric pretty much had to would light up rich people's homes by putting a generating plant in the actual house itself.
Yeah.
And there was lines all over New York City, and it was quite a mess. DC didn't go down without a fight. Edison fought very hard to. He said AC electricity was dangerous and it could kill you. And matter of fact, he even executed animals with it, and to show how dangerous it was. And they even executed an elephant. Yeah, which is just, I mean, these days everyone would be appalled at such a thing. But they talked the government into making an electric chair run with AC electricity, and it was quite a disaster. But Tesla used to do demonstrations running AC electricity through his body to show that it doesn't kill you.
Well, that brings up a major point. Why isn't Tesla as well known as Edison when we use these, alternating current primarily? That's
well, Edison was, what is the old saying? When his electric bulb failed 500 times or something, he said, "No, I didn't. I didn't have 500 failures. I found 500 ways that don't work, and eliminated 500 ways and he was able to make the light bulb work." So that was where Tesla was brilliant. He could figure these things out in his head and then design them and build them. I mean, he basically invented wireless transmission. And what he wanted to do was to use wireless transmission to transmit electricity around the world. He felt that electricity should be owned by the people, and everyone should have this sort of source.
It should be free like the air we breathe,
Yeah.
I think, how it was put.
And they could have done it if it hadn't been for the robber barons that had vested interests in DC electricity and electricity as it was, and they did not want to see that become a free product.
Well, when you first decided to build this monument, kind of decided, what was it that your client wanted to convey to the viewers?
Okay, my client he first became aware of Tesla from a Google, one of those little Google things they put up once a day,
Yes.
And
yes.
it was one on Tesla. And then he saw a PBS special on Tesla, and he thought, what a fascinating man. This is just amazing. This is a quote from something he wrote about it when we actually did this statue. "The Tesla statue will represent the power of the creative spirit and will inspire people from around the world to focus on humanity's greatest challenges." Tesla did think that man shouldn't have to, what he was trying to do is to save labor from men, and it wasn't about the money, even though he could go through dramatic amounts of money in short periods of time. Oh, and the reason I didn't answer your question about why we don't know more about Tesla, there was a great deal of envy of Tesla's brilliancy and his way of solving what was thought to be impossible problems. And he was a little arrogant, and so were the others. And there was one of the physicists who was the head of Columbia University, and they were also the ones that produced the textbooks. And he was sure to make sure that Edison was never mentioned in the textbooks.
So he got almost written out of history. Right?
Yeah,
Wow.
and it pretty much,
Wow.
one textbook begats the next, and he was included.
Wow.
That is fascinating. Give us an overview of the Kickstarter program, if you can, just you know a little bit what was involved in the campaign and how the primarily how the project implemented. I know you were the primary person involved in developing the statue. But
Dorian Porter, who was my client, like I said, he became inspired by Nikola Tesla. I thought the man was just amazing, and he was walking. He happens to rent in one of Harold Hoback's buildings, who was the man I did the inventor portraits for. Yeah. And he happened to be coming downstairs one day, and he saw the large painting that Siemens had done, the first one. That's the one that's on display in that building. And he thought, all of a sudden he came up with an idea, wouldn't it be great to have a statue of Nikola Tesla? And maybe I'll go talk to Harold Hoback and see if he'll put it on his land. And he did talk to Harold, and Harold said, you got to talk to this guy. And, you know, Harold picked up the phone and called me and told me what he was going to do. And, you know, I said, oh, tell him to come by. And so we talked about it. And initially it was like, well, I just do drawings because I'm not a sculptor. You know, I'm a portrait painter. Yeah. And I know anatomy and everything. And you know, I can do some nice drawings, and I'll get you a sculptor, no problem. And Harold told him, well, we need to get it approved by the city to put the statue up. So you really should have a maquette, which is a model of this, a scale model of the statue for approval of the city. Yeah. And I thought, well, that's okay. I'll do a maquette. I've done some small, you know, clay pieces before, and that I can do. And then I'm at home that night, and I'm going, well, if I could do the small one, I bet I could do the large one. And I called up Dorian, and I said, well, how do you feel about if I do the whole thing? He says, I have no doubt in your artistic ability, and as long as I have the option, if you fall on your face, I can get somebody else. I said, oh, no problem. You know, those kind of deals I'll always take. I don't care. I know I can do it. And so he wanted to fund it by Kickstarter, which is a crowdsourcing group. And he has had several web startups before. He's a Silicon Valley web startup guy, and he was sort of in between startups at the time. And so this was a project he was interested in, and pretty much talked him into, let's go do it, you know, fine. And so we were on. I made a maquette for the launch of the Kickstarter, and a lot of what has to do with Kickstarter is that you really have to know social networks, and you have to get the word out throughout social networks, and it has to become somewhat viral in order that people basically donate for your project because they like the idea. And there was a great deal of interest in Tesla, and so there's a lot of fans, and we were able to make this successful.
Let's see now, your time frame here, you had how long?
We had a 30-day Kickstarter.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And anything longer than that, people get bored. You know, there's no sense of urgency, and it's just not going to work. So you have to do it
good idea.
Short.
A little pressure there.
And luckily, what we did is we had a couple of, there was a family foundation, which at the very end came in with like $20,000 to put us over the top.
But your goal was what, 125 million?
120,000.
120,000.
And
to cover the production.
Wow. Yeah, covered the production of the statue, the base, the
you supplied some renderings of what it would look like then when it's completed.
I'm a graphic designer too, so I did a lot of
that was
pre-work so that people could see what they were going to get. You know, and we had awards that they had that they would get for certain levels of contribution. And
yeah, but it's amazing that you did this because you didn't do sculpture before. You said a little bit in high school. So,
yeah.
So I mean, what did you have to do to teach yourself it online? What did
I found out that a lot of it's transferable. What I already do. I'm a portrait painter. I work two-dimensionally, but I know all about anatomy and physiology, and I'm good at resemblances. And I found that a lot of it, when you get used to working with in 3 dimensions, which is a little different way to work, it all kind of kicks in.
And, it's amazing you had the self-confidence to just charge ahead and say, I can do this. That's
oh yeah, I started looking up foundries, and I call them up, and we go back, take a look at it, and and YouTube videos, and every major 19th century book on sculpture. And I redid the maquette like 4 or 5 times,
Wow.
and then by the time I had the the final maquette done, I pretty much knew where I was. I never worked with plasticine clay.
Yeah, well,
Let's go.
yeah, it's great you had the imagination
Yeah.
and the vision in your head, and that's what artists are good at doing.
Yeah.
So we have some pictures that shows the process.
Let's see the
And you can
pictures.
talk to about it, so we can take a look at kind of like what you had to go through. Do we have those? Yeah.
Okay, here's the Kickstarter. This is there was a video that would show at the front, and then all the rewards you'd get, different levels on it. And Dorian wrote a lot about why you should support having a statue of Nikola Tesla in the Silicon Valley, because he invented wireless technology. There's a basis of wireless to a great deal of what goes on in Silicon Valley.
Dorian did the marketing and the Kickstarter,
Yeah, it was all,
and you supplied all
and
the
the
images.
promotion through social networks and everything.
Wow.
He did a fabulous job. Okay, that's the next. Next one. Okay, this is the drawing I did of Tesla, the pose we decided to work with. This is from an 18th century photograph that I rendered in black and white charcoal. And there's the maquette from 2 different angles. It's a 24-inch tall.
Clay?
Yeah, clay, plasticine clay model. And then we use that. Why don't you go next? Okay, the Sunday business section in the Mercury News did our story about the Kickstarter, which really helped a great deal.
That helped a lot.
That's
Yeah, that
pretty
did help
nice.
a lot. The Chronicle also ran it.
Yeah.
We had mentions from the Wall Street Journal. We had a lot of, just lots and lots of press.
So you did actually a small clay model for the project,
Yes,
for the Kickstarter.
Yeah. And let's see what our next one is.
Let's see.
Okay.
Now we get into the real
Okay.
nitty-gritty.
What we did is from the maquette. My research, I found out there was like new ways of doing sculpture, and instead of a clumsy armatures, that you could actually mill foam as an armature underneath, which would reduce the weight dramatically, put clay over the outside. So we had the maquette scanned by an aerospace scanning, which is 3D scanning, and then that scan then drove a CNC machine which would carve this is satellite in Belmont, and he actually carves out foam for sculptures and all kinds of things. There's Kelly there.
Let's see the next one.
Next one. So this was the
Wow.
what I got for armature.
Blue Man.
They just blew up the 2-foot statue to 7 foot tall,
Wow.
and then
That's amazing.
And all in foam.
all
right?
in
Yeah.
foam. So we had
Wow.
I didn't have to put all that much clay on the outside.
That's
So let's go to the next one.
It's like a Blue Man.
Okay, there's the clay.
Wow.
On the left is Harold Hobach, the landowner. In the middle is Dorian Porter, my client. And the fat guy on the right is me.
Yeah, that's you.
And so you can see the
Cool.
full 7-foot clay.
Wow.
It's all plasticine clay over that armature, foam armature. And on the left is the maquette right next to it. Okay, next. Okay, here's Kelly again from ScanSite, the 3D aerospace scanners. He's now scanning the 7-foot clay of Nikola Tesla before I take it to the foundry. The reason we're doing that is we made replicas, 18-inch cast bronze of the actual data, and a little 6-inch resin with an embedded magnet in the bulb. And these were Kickstarter rewards, along with other things.
Yeah.
And so we needed a scan of the full size to get all the detail into those small items.
Wow.
Let's go next. There's actually the scanning a section of the statue. It took like 8 hours to scan it from different angles. You put little targets on, and the computer then cross-references to get the data. So next. Here's a screenshot of what is being scanned. So you're seeing the 3D model of Tesla's head there.
Wow.
Next. So this is from that data. We took it to Modeler in San Francisco, which are old LucasArts people that actually made the first Star Wars You know, they actually
Yes.
made the models, the original
Yes.
ones by hand. Well, now they got into 3D printing.
Wow.
And what they did is they 3D printed the 18-inch that we were going to cast in bronze, a 6-inch, which we were going to cast in resin, and there was another little 3-inch one, which Dorian insisted on making a little 3-inch paperweights, which
Oh. Why not?
so here's, I delivered Tesla to the foundry. There's the clay Tesla, among other sculptures that are there, waiting to get its mold. So they'll put a plaster, latex and plaster molds over it, and in sections. And then those sections, they then put wax in, pour wax in to get a new original, and those waxes are actually melted out of the molds, and they pour hot bronze, right, 4,000 degree bronze into it. There they are casting the bronze. They're actually pouring the bronze in Nikola Tesla's head right now.
So in different segments that they get from the
and then they weld them back together after that. So next. And after it's been welded back together and touch up all the spots, they put a patina on the statue. That's the full-size statue receiving its patina.
Which, describe the patina now.
Patina are chemicals. If you ever did jewelry in high school, they have like that sulfur stuff. You put a jewelry and all of a sudden it turns black. That's the same stuff.
So it's like an
same kind of
antique thing,
Yeah.
maybe.
It's what it does is it would get a natural patina outdoors, but this kind of seals a color in to begin with.
Okay.
Let's go to the next one. Okay, that's the 18-inch replica in bronze, also getting its patina. So next, okay, there's a little 6-inch resin with a half a Tesla power magnet in the wireless filamentless bulb he used to demonstrate in his studio. That was the beginning of wireless electricity. Those elements are now used, and there's little Tesla coils in the ends of fluorescent bulbs. That's how they work. Next. Okay, this is my design for the time capsule. It's all, I found a very game machinist at CNC machines, and he said he could make anything I could put on a napkin.
Wow.
So I said, I'll give you a better drawing than that.
Yeah.
So these are hand assembled. This is the hand assembled solid aluminum. It has copper wires and steel rods, and even the bolts on the corners are made, and we have a bas relief of the Tesla scan that we did, and actually engraved out of the aluminum. It started as a 6x9 inch
And next?
solid brass. Okay, these are the kids loading the time capsule that actually went in.
Yeah, next.
Next.
Loading the time capsule.
Okay, and there's the.
There it is. Which
and
is
this
where?
Is the statue.
That's on the corner of Birch and Sheridan in Palo Alto.
Excellent, excellent. Great. And here we have a replica here.
Yeah, here's
here
the
we have
bronze,
the
the
actual
18-inch
product.
bronze.
Beautiful. And this is
This is the wireless filamentless bulb demonstration bulb, and it was actually that big.
okay.
And he had a Tesla coil behind him, which that would be tuned to the gases in the bulb, which would actually light the bulb.
And then we have the small one down
Yeah.
here. If we
there's-
could look at
We're
this.
running a little short of time. I'd like to show the time capsule over there, which is going to be opened in
2047, which 40,
43,
43,
I think, 43,
which is
2043.
the 100th anniversary of Tesla's death.
Yeah, well,
Over there. That's it
what
over
we
there.
have is the artist prototype, which you put together for the,
Yeah,
the
actually-
proof one.
Yeah, that's the artist proof. We actually made 5 of those, 5 in total. One's embedded in the statue with the time capsule. One's an artist proof. One of them went to the Tesla Museum in New York, and 2 others went to investors.
Now, the monument's been up for almost a year. I think December the 7th will
Yeah.
be the anniversary there. So how is the public responding to its presence?
Well, the Post gave a very glowing recommendation of a very positive statue in an area which a lot of people got more complaints about statues than anything else. And we had 2 different parties in Canada that contacted us, and they wanted a recast of the statue. One is
Ooh, how exciting.
one is in Calgary, Zoran Mill,
In Canada?
in Calgary, Canada, and the other one is in Hamilton, Canada. was so impressed with Dorian's adventure that he wanted to do it, and it is going to be ready. They're both raising funds right now for the recasts, and the one in Hamilton hopes to have it ready for the 2015 Pan Am Games.
Yeah, that is going to be so exciting. So that's in 2015 they're trying.
And they're also renaming a street Tesla Expressway.
Oh my goodness! A lot of activity in Canada.
So finally, it seems like Tesla is finally getting his due rewards or his due recognition now that you guys have put this whole project together. It's quite an accomplishment.
And it's really still going. Now, this Canada was because a direct thing on the statue that you did in Palo Alto. Is that right?
Yes. They saw the press for that, and we have an unveiling on YouTube. The unveiling was broadcast, on the internet, live broadcast, and then it's still on there and available. And Vic in Hamilton is he even has a tattoo of Nikola Tesla on his back of his leg. He's such a strong supporter of Tesla, everything.
Where's your tattoo? Well, I just want to thank you so much for doing both of these shows, and we're so excited that Tesla is finally getting his recognition, as Doug was saying, and we just hope that he gets lots more. So thank you for watching the show, and watch again. That's very exciting news. Are you going to go to Canada then?